name's Marie. Lisa and I know each other quite well, and I know that I've talked to you on the phone.
Okay.
Welcome to our stress and hormone class.
Thank you.
We don't have seat belts in the chair, but we're going to pretend we got one because we're going to get ready
Go
because
for
we're
a
going to
ride.
have a great class, and I wish we had more people. But I started with Dr. Weaver 5 years ago. I came in with migraine headaches, and as you can see, you know, I'm still here. I never left. So I truly believe in what we do with chiropractic, nutrition, everything that we have to offer. I truly wholeheartedly believe in it. And our faith helps us get through each and every day. So that's, you know, we can't lose right there. Dr. Weaver has been in the practice for 11 years. She's a graduate from Wilmington, UNC. Yay! And then to further her education, she got her doctorate from Life University. Dr. Weaver is very passionate. We all are. Because I look back at where I was before I started coming here and where I am today. It's like, you know, at my card, I have a card and it says I've got an angel on my side, and, you know, she's it. We believe in our mission to get people well without drugs and surgery, and we're not saying that there's times where you don't have to have it, but we certainly, you know, believe in chiropractic and natural wellness. And we have added another team player to our office, Miss Adora. She is our wellness coach. So guys, I think Adora's going to have a spiel.
Yep. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm relatively new here. This is my 4th week, and I wasn't planning to be here at all. I was planning to move somewhere else, and God provided me with this amazing job and working with these amazing women. When I was in college, I got a degree from Tacoma Falls College in counseling and psychology, and knew I did not want to go be a full-time counselor because I was so worn out I couldn't do that. But I always kept hearing about being a life coach, and I thought, well, maybe I can work on the happier side and be a life coach. So then I narrowed it down after I worked with a doctor similar to what Dr. Weaver does, and almost the same program, but here we have it expanded, is with health and wellness and healing your body using supplements and nutrition. And I had a doctor help me with that, and then her wellness coach introduced me to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York. And so I spent the last year training under them as a health and wellness coach. And so Dr. Weaver does the medical side of things, and I do the health coach, and we do workshops together. And it's just been a really great place to just kind of go, oh my goodness, this is what I'm looking for, and this is what I'm able to do. And Dr. Weaver and Marie and the other ladies here have done a wonderful job of just making this a great transition for me into something that I'm sure I can help so many people with, and I can't wait to see what comes up.
That's great.
All right, guys, so are we ready to rock and roll?
Sure thing.
Fasten your seat belts. All right, so we're going to introduce Dr. Weaver.
Woo!
Great. So, stage 5, brain cancer, is the news I got about 10 years ago. Not from me, it was my mom. And, you know, she just turned 50. And, you know, when we got this news, and it's devastating. Mom was everything, you know, she's everything. Full of life. And yesterday we celebrated her being in heaven for 7 years. But when we got the diagnosis 10 years ago, really made big lifestyle changes in your whole family. If you know anybody that's had cancer in your family, or if you've even had it yourself, it's a wake-up call. You know, it's a wake-up call. And so tonight we're going to be talking about, and I'm going to go back to my mom many times, and the reason why I'm here, and the reason why I do things, and the reason why I educate people, and I love educating people, is because of things that happen usually in your life. And you make those changes, and you educate more and more and more about how we can get help. So tonight we're going to be talking about stress and its effects, understanding hormones, because I think hormones is a big thing people don't understand, and the cause of poor health, and then we're just going to kind of put it all together for you guys. All right? So when she got diagnosed, 7 years ago, they gave her 3 months to live. She had stage 5, like I mentioned, glioblastoma. I don't know if you guys have ever studied brain or brain cancer or anything like that. Pretty much the worst diagnosis you could probably get. And so when she got that, I talked to the neurosurgeon, and I've studied MRIs. I just graduated from school. And I moved back home to be with my family. I've been studying school been in school forever, and come back home to North Carolina to be with my family. I had my first son. I wanted to be with mom and dad, and then we got this diagnosis. So, Americans have, do we have a health problem in our country? Yes, we have a major health problem. Is it wrong or like lacking information? I think that, I grew up in a very medical family. My great-grandfather was a medical doctor. I have a lot of aunts that are nurses. We're very medical in our family. And so growing up, if we had any kind of problem, you look to the medicine cabinet. That's what we're gonna do. You got a problem, take medicine, take a pill, move on with your life, right? You're good. Well, I was just talking to a new patient today, and it was just really interesting to him. He's learning about upper cervical, and he's really getting into what is this upper cervical thing. And I was just telling him, again, my personal story. I was a pretty sick kid. I mean, I had asthma and allergies for about 10 years. I was on 2 breathing machines. I was allergic to pretty much everything, and I had the allergy shots. I went to the best asthma and allergy specialist, and they couldn't get me better. And then I started having some seizures, started blanking out because of the medication I was taking. I'm talking about we were sick, it's a pretty sick family. And then learning all the things I've become now, a lot of these things are preventative if we're trained with education and knowing how to do these certain things. So I think, with the money that we have, and he was asking me, why do people not know what you know? And it's like, it's hard because the pharmaceutical companies are just making billions of money, and they can advertise and tell you guys about Lipitor and Crestor and all these medications out there, but they're not going to sit there and tell you that maybe the food that you might be eating or the stress that you have or this, they don't have time, or they're just not doing it right now. And so there's definitely a lack of information that people are getting. So that's where I'm trying to come in and educate more. I'm from this area. I know what we eat. I was raised on the South. And we need to be more proactive, and we're not being proactive. And the dog needs a walk, right? So, this is what we're doing. We're not giving the dog gets his walk, but we're not getting a walk, and we laugh about it, but this is happening. This is happening, So we got to change some things. There's 3 types of negative stress, all right? So let's go ahead and talk about the physical. And a lot of times when people come in, they might have a car accident or had some kind of trauma, and definitely there's some physical stress there. And I see it a lot in the spine. When we take x-rays of the spine, I'm like, okay, what'd you do about 15 or 20 years ago? Because we actually see it in the spine. What kind of damage did you do? Oh, well, I was in a car accident, or I had a concussion, or I played football, and this and that. And so there's definitely that negative stress that can play a big role in our health, the physical. And then we talk about the chemical, the chemical stress. I didn't put necessarily drugs up there, but sometimes drugs can be chemically stressed to our body. Because once I hear, in fact, when I go over blood reports with people and I see their liver being so inflamed, and then they tell me what drugs they're on, and I see that's a side effect. Well, your liver's so inflamed because you're on this pain medication. You've been on this pain medication for 10 years. Well, let's try to get you off these pain medications. We gotta get you healthier first and get you out of pain. But around the world, obviously, that's not getting really better, the chemical thing. And then I have the emotional. The emotional thing is really, really big too. Emotionally, I'll see people come in and, they lost, like my mom, my mom died. People die in your family. Things happen emotionally. We can get very drained and very stressed. Okay, so those are the 3 types. We kind of narrowed it down. Those are the kind of the negative stresses that our bodies has to constantly deal with. That way, which is eaten to sustain life. This is just the purpose of food. The purpose of food is to provide energy and promote growth and repair tissues. Well, the food that we're eating today is not doing any of this. In fact, it's probably doing opposite of this. And so, you know, I play, if you're a patient of mine and you're coming into the office, every week I play different documentaries. There's so many great documentaries now. And there's something called FMTV, which is Food Matters TV. It's kind of like Netflix, but there's tons of documentaries. And today I was playing Nearly Fat.
Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead.
Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, which is a great one. And I get a lot of feedback from that. But, you know, I played that one and Food Matters, and some of you guys may even watch some of the documentaries. I feel like if we get some of the documentaries and get some more education out there, people would make healthier choices of why to eat certain type of foods, you know, and understand why. So what medical condition do they have? So, I mean, about our healthcare system, I'm getting more busier. The medical field is getting way more busier because more people are what? Getting sick. They're getting sick. They're trying to find answers constantly. And what's happening is, and what they usually think of, they only have 3 to 5 minutes usually with their medical doctor. And I get far behind because I spend more than 3 to 5 minutes because I'm passionate, I love my patients. And sometimes I get farther behind, but they understand, patients understand why I get behind because usually they're asking me all these questions that I'm helping them with. And what drugs do they need? And I mean, usually when they say, okay, well, the pharmaceuticals, what drug, if you're having this symptom and this symptom, okay, what drug do you need? Do what? Cover up the symptom? Not fixing anything, right? So, and they just make so much money doing that. So, you know, we want to change that because I really feel like drugs are great in certain situations, but for health in general, we're finding it to be a major problem. All right. So a big one here is thyroid, and some of you guys may have thyroid issues, and you're here because we're going to be talking a lot about the thyroid tonight. Diabetes and hormone imbalance. And a lot of times when someone brings in their blood work that their medical doctor did, they're just checking TSH. If you know that, we're going to get a little bit of what that means in just a minute. But I look at everything. You know, I'm not looking just at TSH. Okay, there's like 10 things that you can check in the thyroid, and you want to check all of them because if just TSH is fine, well, that's just produced in the brain. But there's other things that you need to look at. But diabetes and hormone imbalances. So different kind of symptoms. That's kind of a cute picture. Having bowel issues. We're just going to kind of go through some symptoms of thyroid. Tired, very sluggish. Depression is a really big one that we'll see hit when the thyroid's not acting right. Mood swings back and forth, and I get this more with more women, but they blame it on hormones, and I'm like, well, you know, you can do something about that. You don't have to be crazy to your husband or whatever and have these mood swings to your kids and blaming your kids for things and nervous and emotional. I mean, when you're having thyroid issues, you usually have all these symptoms. You can't sleep at night, weight gain. And I had this one patient come in today and she was just saying, I'm doing everything right diet-wise, I'm doing this and this and this, and I just cannot lose a pound. I was like, have you had your thyroid checked? Well, yeah, they checked it and they said it was fine. I'm like, well, let's do it. Well, I actually checked it, just got it back today, and I hate to make her cry, but we had major thyroid issues.
And part of the difference with the way Dr. Weaver looks at thyroid levels and most medical doctors look at thyroid levels is that Dr. Weaver is looking at the functional level of where is a healthy human being supposed to be. And most doctors are looking at the average of semi-sick people. And
right.
So
we'll get into that.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so we have here estrogen, and then we have adrenal, thyroid, and then we have liver. And you know, where I tend to see people carry the weight, it kind of gives me an idea of what they're struggling with. And we see this very common. In fact, one of my family members, not saying who, of course, but like she kind of looks like this. And we just found out she had breast cancer. So that obviously is an estrogen issue, you know. So, you know, estrogen and then adrenals and thyroid, but I have seen a big link with just showing the body types. So types of hormones, there's ones that can burn fat and there's ones that can store fat. And the fat burning one is the growth hormone. Some people are into that right now, especially people that are wanting to build muscle and want to burn a lot of fat. Some of them are taking the growth hormone And there's, you probably have heard of glycon and insulin-like growth hormone and the thyroid and testosterone. So all those are going to be burning type fat. And then the fat storing hormones is your insulin, estrogen, and cortisol, which you've probably heard of all three of those. And the cortisol levels, especially being into the adrenals. Well, let's talk about thyroid just a little bit so you guys can understand how the thyroid works. Because it's very complicated. It's not an easy system. It's not just sitting up in here. And me doing upper cervical work, I mean, cervical means neck, upper is the upper area. And because I am a chiropractor, I do focus obviously on the nervous system, getting the nervous system clear. But I have found if I find something going on in the cervical spine, more likely there's some kind of thyroid issue. And anybody that's had a whiplash type injury, I noticed thyroid start being inflamed, overactive, thyroid starts acting up. And sometimes they don't check that, like she was saying. Sometimes they don't check that. They just check your TSH. Your TSH is produced in your brain, okay? And then the TSH tells the thyroid what to do, but sometimes the thyroid itself doesn't quite get that message from the TSH and starts breaking down. So a lot of it is converted in the liver. And so what I found is if the liver is not working right, then it's not converted right. So thyroid is not like a little gland that does everything by itself. You have to look at the whole picture. You gotta look at the whole body. And so the liver will be, like I said, sometimes it can be inflamed and it can be a liver issue, not necessarily a thyroid issue. And then it converts also into the gut. And so sometimes things can be gut issues, not thyroid issues. So it's not like, oh, I'll take this thyroid pill and it'll fix your thyroid. You actually have to look at the whole system. Is the liver breaking down that right? Is the gut issues? Do I need to treat the gut first before I even treat the thyroid? So that's, that's how it's broken down. And I find more, by the time people usually come to see me about the thyroid, it's so out of hand and it's usually starting in the gut. Not 100% of the time, but I do see that a lot. So really treating the gut really can make a big difference. And then there's a huge relation with the adrenals. So the adrenals are right above your kidneys, and they control stress. In fact, I was just talking to a guy earlier today, and he was telling me his workout schedule, and I was like, don't work out late at night because let's get your adrenals. I guess your adrenals up. So you want to actually work out in the morning. There's definitely studies of why you should work out in different areas. And he's under a lot of stress. And he's like, I can't lose the weight. And I'm like, well, you're stressed and you're working out at night. So sleep and get rid of stress and do the same thing, you probably lose weight. So it's definitely the stress that can definitely play a huge role in the hypothalamus. And so, insulin. Insulin's also a big one. So, when I do blood work, I'm looking at insulin, if you're insulin resistance, and looking at the A1C, if there's diabetes going on, some blood sugars issues going on. So, insulin resistance can play a huge role on storing fat too. So it's not easy. When people, come to see me and say they just want to do the weight loss thing, I'm like, it's really not about the weight loss. It's like really just being healthy. What's going on in your body? What things can I do in your body to make you healthy so you can naturally lose weight? And a lot of times they can't do it by themselves. I mean, you need some help, not just with diet, but if you have insulin resistance and the thyroid's acting up and the gut and everything, that's why it's more complicated than just taking Synthroid. Cholesterol. And, talking about cholesterol by itself, I don't think that the whole cholesterol, I mentioned Lipitor earlier, what we've understand is, the relative risk of Lipitor, it says it reduces the heart attack, but they hadn't really found that lowering cholesterol is really helping people. So I don't think cholesterol, and it's never really been reported since 1995, there's no evidence of linking cholesterol with heart disease, and there's no difference since 2003, and I talk with cardiologists all the time, and the biggest thing is not like keep lowering cholesterol, that's not really the fix either. Just taking Lipitor, it's not really the fix of helping the heart. After 4 studies in 2010 involving more than 33,000 people, they realized that medication did not even reduce heart disease at all, lower blood pressure, sugar, cholesterol, and the combination of these factors. In fact, the study revealed more side effects than one heart today. When he was on this drug, his testosterone was so low for a guy because it reduces the whole the sex hormones are very off, it affects your memory, It interferes with serotonin receptors, and serotonin makes you feel good, makes you feel happy. It blocks those, so now you're not feeling so good. And it can be associated with higher risk of diabetes because it clogs the liver. So if you're taking any kind of statin drug, if you know anybody's taking a statin drug, that's usually what it does. It starts clogging the liver up, and then we start getting some other mood issues. And like I said, a higher risk of diabetes, and of course higher risk of cancer. And it depletes CoQ10, which is so important for energy levels within the cells. So that's just a couple side effects that statin type drugs do. So when people come see me about their lab and they're bringing their labs in, what I've noticed is that they are having, for instance, a TSH, okay? So she was talking about just earlier, there's a clinical level of TSH, and when you're looking at it, it's 0.3 to 5.7. And you know, sometimes if you're 0.3, yeah, I guess you're within the clinical range, but you don't want to be 0.3. You really actually want to be kind of in the middle. And so you want to be more in this area. So when I'm looking at blood work for every single case, whatever I'm testing on, you want to be in the middle. You don't want to be so far out of range or so far in range. And when I do blood work, we're looking at what I call functional, or I even call it healthy lab regions. So 1.8 to 3, and 2.5 is like the sweet spot for TSH, if you know anything about TSH. So like I said, that was produced into the hypothalamus in the brain to stimulate the thyroid. Again, his is testosterone that we just checked on somebody just the other day, and his was like 200, like right at 200. You know, and he was the one that was taking the statin drug. And he can tell it, and he don't feel good, you know. So, you know, with this, he's like, well, what can I do about it? I'm like, first of all, let's get your liver a little bit healthier. So we're going to focus on cleaning up his liver. But, you know, when you're looking at those numbers, he would have been okay, I guess, medically. But he can tell he's not right. I mean, usually you will have symptoms. I mean, so many people come in and they say, I have these symptoms, and my blood looks okay. Sometimes it takes years to show up on your blood work, too. I mean, we'll do blood work maybe on a kid and don't really see anything, but their symptoms are showing, yeah, there's something going on. Well, we might want to do something to stimulate something before it gets too bad to show up on your blood. Because the time that shows up really bad in the blood has been there for years. Cortisol levels, obviously we want to be high in the morning and drop down very low. And what we're seeing is people falling in kind of the opposite category, and they kind of swing the opposite direction, especially people that work at night, people that have been in wars and come back, and our veterans. I always have to work with their adrenals because they're used to being at night, you know, and that affects a lot of things, the cortisol levels. Like I said, stress, you know, that's why you guys are here tonight. Stress, for one, can cause those levels to be way out of range. So, you know, which one do you have? There's more than one cause, you know, and you have to do the proper testing. And I always start with doing blood work because, you know, that kind of shows us what's going on, you know. I mean, that's just medically, that's what we've done for over the years. And looking at blood work, and you can actually see, is there leaky gut? Is there a gut issue going on? Is there autoimmune, which is very, very common these days with the thyroid? Pre-diabetics or diabetes, adrenal stress, hormone imbalance. So all of those, there's great different testing to do. Hashimoto's or Graves with the hypothalamus, hyper or hypo with thyroidism. All right, so we're kind of getting to autoimmune, all right? And I put a picture again of the brain up here, again because of my mom. So we go back to my mom, and she was having a lot of health problems at the age of 20, and she didn't know she had leaky gut syndrome. She just had to go to the bathroom all the time. After she ate, she just ran to the bathroom all the time, and that developed into rheumatoid arthritis. And so then she was a lot of pain with her joints, but it stems all the way back to when I look back at her history. One thing led to another thing, which was and then she was on a lot of different medication for the RA because they wanted to keep her immune system because RA is autoimmune, so they keep the immune system really low. It's cancer. Usually you don't have an immune system, so the cancer goes up. So 90% of thyroid symptoms among U.S. women are usually autoimmune. 90%, that's pretty high. Pretty much everyone I've done so far is usually autoimmune. It's usually autoimmune. So 90% is pretty standard. So if you have, and a lot of times they don't want to check it medically, they don't want to check to see if you have antibodies on your thyroid, because they don't want to have to give you a bunch of steroids, or they may not even want to treat it properly, or, you know, they can't treat some things, so they got to send you to an endocrinologist. But a lot of times, if I heal the gut and heal other things in the body that I see breaking down, then the autoimmune disorder kind of disappears. You still have it, but it goes in regression for sure. 50 or 60% of patients have other organs being attacked. Very, very, very common. Once I see one autoimmune disorder, you don't just have one. There's other things going on. So we see MS, very common. Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, we're working with patients now with this. IBS, Crohn's, RA, which we talked about, uterus, endometriosis, a lot of people don't think that is one. Very anemia, very strong anemia, and osteoporosis. All of these sometimes can be all linked together. And so if you're, you know, like I said, having any of these symptoms, I mean, what are you going to do? Get on all these different drugs, or are you going to heal the body naturally? And that's what we're here. That's what we're here. We're here to train you and teach you. And another one is pancreas and diabetes. So 50 to 60% of patients I'm seeing have these things if they already have one autoimmune disorder. And that's, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot going on. Like I said, we're getting busier here, and we're getting busier in every single doctor's office because people are getting sicker. And a lot of it stems from the home and how we can eat and how to take care of ourselves. So getting help. You know, 9% of diseases are treatable. 9% of them. With education. And I think more and more people, and I see the millennium. In fact, my husband the other day was telling me that Chipotle is a Mexican restaurant that does like or they're trying to get everything non-GMO. They're trying, as a fast food chain, to at least do no antibiotics in their, you know, chicken and stuff like that. And so their shares last year went up 495%, and McDonald's shares went up 40%. So there is a shift, there is a change, and like I said, I've been in practice for 11 years and educating people this whole entire time. But in the last 3 or 4 years, we're just getting slammed and slammed and slammed. More and more people wanting to know education, and people are starting to educate themselves, which is great. So you can't predict the future of your health, right? And this one guy, he was giving me a few little symptoms here and there, and I'm like, well, let's get your blood work run, because I don't really know. And then when I did, I was like, oh, okay, we need to do some things here. So, blood work is really, getting the right blood work done can really address the whole body as whole. And I'm not just looking at one little organ. I address the whole entire system. So ordering the correct test is definitely real important. Okay. I know it's blinking. It's going through. It's thinking. All right, the missing pieces. I'll put them all up here. And these are things that we're teaching people and training people on. Nutrition is huge. And, me being a chiropractor, I love the nervous system. I mean, that's how I originally got into this, as, getting that upper cervical adjustment, helping me be able to get off my drugs for the asthma and allergies. And then in the last 3 years, I've lost 50 pounds. Wow. So I've made some big health changes myself. And I was one of these patients up here. I did having some signs of autoimmune. Well, again, my mom, and if I didn't make some big changes, I felt like I was heading towards poor mom, but she and her sister and my grandmother all have Hashimoto's. And so it's like, hello, Corinne, which is my first name. I pretty much have it if I don't do anything about it. And I couldn't lose weight. And I was eating healthy because I knew what to eat. And I was working out. And I was doing a personal trainer for a year. And I think I dropped 5 pounds. And still, I was like, all right, well, I know what to do. I started training myself the last 3 years and really educating like crazy. Like every weekend, my husband's like, all right, what seminar are you going to learn about the thyroid? But, the more I can learn, the more I was helping myself. And so, like I said, in the last 3 years, I dropped 50 pounds. Diet and supplements that I needed to do, and man, do I feel so much better. But yeah, nutrition, that was a huge part. But getting adjusted wasn't helping me lose weight. But I mean, it was helping me feel better, but I knew I needed to do more than that. So the nervous system and getting the nutrition, and I did detoxes too. I was doing a bunch of detoxes. Yeah, I'll lose a couple pounds with the detox, but that wasn't it. It was addressing the main thing, which is the thyroid. And then later, about a month ago, I was with my grandmother and telling her, gosh, she's like, you look so great, you lost all this weight, you know, what have you been doing? And I told her this, and she's like, oh, well, I had thyroid cancer and this and that. And I'm like, I didn't even know my grandmother had thyroid cancer. And then finding out my grandmother like radiated and had surgery while she was pregnant with my mom. So it's like all these genetic things, that pre-genetic stuff that I was like, what chance do I got unless I really turn this around? So I've been there, I've done that, and I can relate to a lot of patients. So treating the whole person together, putting the whole piece together. You know, fitness is, you know, I work out now and I love it, but that's not really going to help me lose weight. It was really getting down to the main, like I said, getting the main root cause. But having the good system, and we're just in the last few months making some, because I've been going over blood work and helping people here and there, but now we really target it down, really helping people and educating and doing classes. And I hired a Dora to really come in because we are getting slammed with patients wanting this. And I can't help everybody. I know I can't help everybody, but I'm going to help the ones that are ready, mentally ready to make the change. So how's my life been affected? These are certain questions that you can ask. You know, my relationships, my ability to work, enjoy life. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, am I motivated? You know, I don't take every patient that's, you know, wants to come in. In fact, I've last couple weeks, I was like, I can't help you because they weren't there mentally. Because I'm going to have to take them on a lifestyle huge change. And if they're not willing to just do a couple things that I asked them to do, I'm sorry, you're not there yet, you know. So you have to be motivated because it's not going to be an easy fix. It's not an easy fix when you're dealing with health. So, you know, what's next? You know, take action. You know, I mean, that's why you're here tonight. And we're filming these classes because there was like 12 people that signed up and there's not 12 people here. You know, so there's people that maybe signed up, you know, and the last class we had was like 30 people here. So we just never know who's coming to these classes. But, you know, people, I think people are like, you guys are here and you want it, so take action and stop procrastinating. And so what we're doing is the consultation is the value of it is $125, and for people that come to the class, I know you guys are interested. So, you know, I break down the price to $67. You know, and if your spouse or a family member in there, it's $37. You know, and that's normally what I charge for my consultations, $125, and I spend an hour with you going over what's going on and if I can help you or not. And so we are doing that investment tonight if you want to, you know, for the consultation alone. And like I said, I don't know if I can help you, but if you're here and I feel like I can, then I obviously will do my best job to get you back well. And that's an hour, and Marie, she'll block off a whole hour of my time, and I'll sit down with you and I go over why you want to see me and what's going on and what I can do to help you. And then based on that, I probably usually need to do some blood work, you know, look at the blood work, see what we need to do, and then if we want to go from there, I just kind of tell you what we offer and what I need to do and get you better. We have some awesome groups now, and people that are just so motivated, and we do classes. Just yesterday we did a shopping class at Costco. We do fun things, and so the group we were with, and we show them why, and so actually, because people are like, is it affordable to be, you know, organic or not? We teach you, yes, it is affordable, and we go over cooking plans, and we go over menu plans and what you can eat, and yes, you can do this. And we show you why and how. We've been doing it for years.
In 2 weeks, we have a hands-on cooking class we're working at putting together.
Yeah, we have cooking classes, detox classes, fitness classes. I mean, every week we're doing classes.
Do you charge for the classes?
Well, it's usually in the plan. Yeah, and so we go over like which class is, and you get I do binders. So you get like you're going back to school. And by this one guy who's like, I really am going back to school, and I'm like, yeah, because he left and he had this binder, a whole binder. But we give you a binder of all the research and all the stuff that I've been doing in the last 3 or 4 years, along with I spend time every week with doctors on your cases. So that's been really, really helpful and interesting. And I work with a group of doctors that are amazing and awesome. So, well, we appreciate you guys coming. And if you have any more questions.